All right, what we're going to go over now is how to create a Bitcoin trading bot very quickly, actually using some technical indicators on NinjaTrader's strategy wizard. So if you notice, my control center is up, my BitConnector is running, and I have also imported the historical data from the uplink from the previous video. So we're going to just build a bot and test it. One thing that I want to note here is that your back testing results will be a little off as far as the amount of money you would make. And to fix this, just in the instrument manager, go to your Bitcoin, and make sure that the point value is at 1,000. Since it's placed as a currency value, we want our point value to be at 1,000. Okay, so now that that's done, what I'm going to do is actually start a strategy, build one. So in NinjaScript, I click Tools. NinjaScript, I can do an indicator or a strategy. I'm going to click Strategy. Now, I'm going to get a code box here that says Create New Strategy. You can click this to unlock code, and if you know programming, you can start programming from the code. Or, as I like to do, click View Code. If you are creating a simple strategy, then the strategy wizard is very useful. If you're learning to program the strategy, being able to see the code on the left can actually help you learn to program as well. So we're going to click Next, and we're going to, on my custom strategy, today we're going to go over moving average crossovers. So let's see, we'll do EMA, crossover, video, and in the description, we'll just say for instructional purposes. This bar here, calculate on bar close. What this does is determines whether or not your strategy runs every time a bar closes, or if it runs on every tick. Since running on every tick is pretty computer intensive, we're going to take calculator on bar close and keep that checked. Additionally, this is the only way to do any backtesting. So if you want the backtested results to be as close as possible to the live results, then you'll also want to keep on bar close checked. Notice that it's here that is in the code is clicked on true. So we'll click next. Here is where I'm actually able to input some variables. If we're doing a simple strategy like a moving average strategy, one of the things that we're going to want to be able to do fairly easily is to be able to change the values of the moving averages. So we want to be able to test or see whether a 6 or 10 day crossover does better than a 15-20, etc. So I want to be able to test those values. In NinjaTrader, the variables they can be Boolean, double, integers, strings. I'm going to keep this as an integer because it's going to be a whole number, and I'm going to put fast EMA. The fast EMA is really all that is the moving average that is going to be crossing over. So it's going to be the shorter one. And for the slower one, I want slow EMA. And if you notice in the variables now, I actually have created a fast and EMA and slow EMA. Now I'm going to set the defaults. My fast EMA, let's have a 10 and 20 day crossover. Like I said, we can change this as we go on. The minimum I'm going to have is 1 because it doesn't make sense to have a moving average that averages less than 1. So 1 is my minimum. And for my description, this is the fast moving average, or the, we can say this. This EMA has the shortest look back. The look back is just the amount of bars that it averages. this EMA has the longer look back. All right, so now I'm going to click next, and I get to my conditions. Like I said, if you click over here to the variables, you'll see that I've created two variables here for my fast and slow EMA. This is where you get to add conditions. One thing I want to point out is these are the conditions, the if-then conditions. So when the things on the top box happen, then we do something here, usually buy or sell. The other thing I want to say is all of the conditions in each set are AND conditions, so they all must be satisfied in order to do one of the things that you want to do, like buy or sell. The rest of the sets are OR conditions. So you might say a condition that says, well, if there's if there's a moving average crossover, or if there's a breakout to new highs, then you buy. And so you would want to have that in two different conditions. So let's go ahead and add the first condition. One thing we want to do is make sure that when we're running our strategy, we have in mind how many orders we have at a given time. So I'm going to put for my strategy current market position under the strategy tab. And each of these tabs do different things. I could explain them. There's a much more thorough explanation on NinjaTrader that I can link to in this post as well. But for this, I'm going to put my current market position is flat. So I press OK. And if you notice again on my condition manager, if my market position is flat, so if I haven't traded anything, and let's say that there's a crossover. So I go to my indicators. We're doing a moving average crossover on the EMA. So I click EMA crossover. And now this is the part where I'm able to enter some of my variables. So I'm looking to buy at this point. I'm flat and I want to enter the market. So that would be when my fast moving average crosses my slow moving average. So instead of setting the period to 14 where I'd have to change manually, I'm actually going to go into user defined inputs or my defined variables and click fast EMA. So in the fast EMA, we have all these choices here, crosses above the slow EMA, and again I have to click indicators, EMA, and instead of 14, right, that could change, so I'm going to put slow EMA, there we go, as my condition. With a look back period of 1, this is just how many bars are necessary in order to have the strategy running. So, here are my two indicated two conditions. I don't have any positions, and my fast EMA is crossing above the slow EMA. What I want to do, I'm going to enter a position. So there's various things that you can do here. One of them, if you don't want to run live strategies, you can create an alert, or you can actually have an email sent to you telling you that this condition has occurred on NinjaTrader. Pretty spooky stuff. For the purposes of our back testing and etc., I'm going to enter a long position. You can actually give the position a name. I don't think that's really necessary for what we're doing here. With more sophisticated forms of order management, you might need this. But we'll just press enter long, and then we'll press next. Oh, let me go back. It next gives us takes us to the next step. That's the first condition. Now we have a condition that enters long anytime the moving average crossover occurs. I also have to sell this position when the other moving average crossover occurs. So I'm going to add this. I like to make sure that I do my strategy features first. I don't know. I just want to make sure that I get that out of the way. So when my current market position is actually long, assuming that I've entered this, I'm actually going to now develop my exit strategy. So I'm long in Bitcoin or whatever I run this on, and let's see what else happens when the moving average crossover occurs again. So we go to indicator, we go to EMA, and we have a similar kind of thing. So we have a moving average crossover, so I have moving averages on both sides of these lines, and this time I'm going to exit when it crosses below. Again, it's when my fast moving average, so I'm going to use my variable here, crosses below my slow moving average. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to exit my long position. Pretty simple strategy. And then I click Next. You can enter stop losses and profit targets. I'm not going to go ahead and do that now. We're doing, like I said, a pretty simple strategy, and want to show you a few more things and not make this video too long. So I'll click Next, and all the conditions are done. If I click Finish, what will actually happen is the strategy will be compiled and ready to go. So I click Finish. And when I hear that, there were no errors, I don't have any bugs, it's compiled. At least I don't think so. There's no syntax errors at this point. Now I want to see how my strategy actually performed. So if I go to File, I click New, and I can click Strategy Analyzer. Now, there's a few things that I want to point out about Strategy Analyzer that will just take away a lot of headaches. One of them is that you can test this on multiple data sets at once, but that will take a lot of time. So let's go ahead and just choose Bitcoin. So we're only testing this on Bitcoin. The second is you can have things shown in percent, currency, or points. Let's do currency so we can see our net profit. And I can show you how some of these different things have changed depending on how you choose them. Now we're going to take our strategy. So I'm using EMA crossover video. And here are my parameters. This is a nice thing, like I said. I can take this 10 if I don't like this and actually change it to 12 without going through and recoding anything because I put this as a variable. All right, now I'm going to test this on day bars. You can do it on day bars, week bars, 5-minute bars, 13-minute bars, 20-minute bars, 4-hour bars. Doesn't matter. In order to make this a little easier, I'm actually going to do a 2-year test. One thing that's important to do is to try to, if possible, test in and out of sample. So I generally am doing tests between 2012 and 2014 for a lot of the indicators. All right, now the only other thing that you need to know in setting this up is that a lot of these strategies are created in ways that might benefit day traders. So they have a function here called exit on close, and that means exit on the close of the day. This isn't a day trading system, so we're going to click false. However, if you were wanting to create a day trading system and you were worried about it exiting on the close of the day, which you don't really need to worry about with Bitcoin, but if you were, then you could have that as a built-in function. So everything else looks fine. There's nothing else that I need to change. And so what I can do is click Run Backtest. We'll see if things actually worked. Well, here we go. We would have made $584.41 with the moving average crossover. One thing I can also do to make sure that my signal is entered correctly is I can create a chart which shows me when everything bought and sold. So for example, I can put on my chart 2 moving average indicators. And on the first one, I'm going to have a 10. And let's just make this, for the sake, make this a different color to make it a little easier. Instead of orange, let's make it blue. The other one can stay orange. This one's a 20 period moving average. So I click OK. And now we'll see if things work properly. Now, one thing that's important, since it calculates on bar close, when this bar is completed, that's when the moving average occurred. Then it buys on the next bar. So you notice it buys on the next bar. That's how it works when you have on bar close. And here it crossed over and on this bar, so it sold on this bar. So that seems to be working correctly, and I can look at how it worked historically. I can also look at each individual trade. There's lots of things I can do, some great graphs here. This gives me some of my profit gives me a chart. I can see, for example, how if it caught the trends, which trends it did catch, how quickly it exited, and if I think that I might be able to change things, then I could do so. But if I look at my summary, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what a lot of these things mean. This is the total net profit at the top. These are the losses that I had. The Sharpe ratio is a technical ratio that you could look up, but basically it measures risk-adjusted returns. Percent profitable, only 38%, which actually is not unusual with the moving average crossover. Moving average crossovers tend to make most of their money on large trends, so I'm not really surprised by that. And I'm able to see, for example, the drawdown. One thing that's nice is I have all this in currency. Now I can put it in percent. So I can see that it actually had a 36% drawdown, which means that it lost 36% of its value at various times. And I can look at the percentage of the winning trades, etc. So that basically covers how to create and backtest a bot. You could actually take this one that I have and you could run it live on a chart. All you'd have to do is take, for example, a daily bar chart like this one, click strategies, click EMA crossover video, click new, press OK, and it would actually start trading it live if you have the live API key. If you have any questions, let us know, but that's how you create a EMA crossover.